All right, let's get right into it. Today, this explainer is focused on a blueprint for building a wildly flexible, incredibly profitable small business. And honestly, the kicker here, you can run the whole shebang almost entirely out of the trunk of your car. I know it sounds a little too good to be true, but we're going to break down exactly how the mechanics of this work. We're stripping away all the guesswork and getting right down to the absolute foundation of what a paint party business actually is.
Okay, let's dive into this. Before you touch a single brush, before you set a price, or even try to book an event, you have to ask yourself the most important question. What are people actually paying for? Most new paint party owners naturally assume they're selling art. I mean, there are canvases and paints involved, right? But assuming you are selling art is literally the single most expensive mistake you can make. Think about it. If a customer just wanted a beautiful painting for their living room, they wouldn't come to you. They could go online right now and order a far nicer, mass-produced piece of art for like 20 bucks. So, if they aren't buying the art, what is the actual product?
The answer is surprisingly simple, but absolutely crucial. You're selling an experience. This is a massive paradigm shift. Your guests are paying for a feeling. They want a reason to gather, to laugh, and to just make something together. When they hand you their money, they are buying a fun night out. They're buying a break from their daily routine and a chance to feel creative. That painting they take home at the end of the night, that's simply the souvenir of the experience you provided. Once you get this shift right in your head, every single business decision that follows gets infinitely easier. And this brilliantly illustrates why that mindset shift is just so powerful. If you go in thinking you're teaching art, you are setting yourself up for a highly stressful battle. You're suddenly competing with craft stores, professional art schools, and this endless sea of free online tutorials. You're going to feel this massive pressure to be a master artist. But when you realize you're hosting an experience, your competition completely changes. Now you're competing with going out to the movies, date nights, nice dinners, and girls' nights plans. You're competing for entertainment dollars, which are highly accessible. You price for the experience, you market the fun, and you describe your events by how they will feel, not by the specific brushstrokes you'll be teaching. When you market that fun, you tap directly into why guests actually show up. Notice what's completely missing from this equation? Talent. Not a single requirement mentions becoming a better artist. People come because it's social, and it's slightly out of the ordinary. It gives them a really fun, low-pressure way to feel creative without that paralyzing fear that usually comes with staring at a blank canvas. Your actual product is the emotional shift you facilitate. You will see this at literally every single event. There is always that one guest who walks in nervously, swearing up and down she can't even draw a stick figure. But fast forward 2 hours, she is the exact same person, beaming with pride, got her phone out, photographing her finished canvas from 3 different angles, guiding them from nervous to proud. That is what you are really selling. So how do we actually deliver that experience? Let's transition into the core business model. At its heart, it is beautifully simple. Everyone starts with a blank canvas, and you lead the room step by step. Almost every event you run is going to fall into one of 2 buckets. First, you've got public events, where you sell individual tickets to whoever wants to join. This is fantastic for filling out your calendar and meeting brand new people. Then we have private events. This is where a host books you for their entire group. Think a birthday party, a corporate team building night, or a bachelorette party. These private parties, they are the golden ticket. They're usually the easiest to manage and by far the most profitable to book. Regardless of whether it's public or private, the logistics of the night are totally demystified by this simple, repeatable rhythm. A standard event is just about 2 hours long, and it flows exactly like this. Step 1. You spend about 15 minutes letting guests welcome each other, grab a drink, find their seats, and break the ice. Step 2 is a quick 5-minute scene setter. You show them the finished painting they'll be doing, promise them there are no mistakes, and just loosen everyone up. Step 3 is the core of the night. 80 to 90 minutes of guided painting, where you demo one step, they follow, and you walk around rescuing any happy accidents. Finally, step 4 is the big reveal. 10 minutes for everyone to hold up their canvases and take a big group photo. That photo is the moment they remember, and it's the exact moment they post online to tell all their friends. It really is that manageable. And because that entire 2-hour flow packs down into just a few plastic totes of supplies, you have what we like to call a quiet superpower: total portability. You don't need a lease, you don't need to pay crazy rent for a fancy storefront and just wait around for foot traffic. You operate with almost zero fixed overhead because you can take your business straight to where the customers already are. You can host anywhere: restaurants, bars, private homes, corporate offices, community centers, or even online via Zoom. Look, if there is a place for people to sit down and hold a brush, you can host an event there. Now let's see how this builds into the actual financial logic of the business. Plenty of small businesses are fun, but far fewer are this forgiving on both your time and your wallet. This model is unusually powerful because these three elements stack together perfectly. You have high profit margins because your costs are incredibly low. You have easy scaling because you aren't constantly inventing new processes. And you have constant repeat customers because, well, humans just love celebrating things.
Now let's put a real number on those high profit margins, shall we? $620. That is the realistic profit for a single, typical 2-hour event. I don't know about you, but making over $600 for a couple hours of hosting a super fun party, that is enough to instantly hook my attention. But let's actually look under the hood and do the math to see exactly how we get there.
So the crucial point is, how does the breakdown actually look? Let's say you book a very normal 20-seat event. You charge $35 a seat. That's $700 in gross ticket sales. Now your cost to seat one painter is incredibly small, usually just $2 to $6 for a canvas, a squirt of paint, and the wear and tear on your brushes. So let's estimate $4 a head. That's $80 in supplies. What about the venue? Well, if you partner with a local bar or restaurant on a slow Tuesday night, you're bringing them 20 thirsty customers. They keep the drink and food sales, meaning your venue cost is absolutely zero. Subtract your $80 in supplies from your $700 in sales, and boom, there is your $620 in profit for one fun night of work.
And that brings us to the second reason the model works so seamlessly. Scaling doesn't multiply your effort. The hardest part of this business is simply building your system that very first time. You pick a few paintings, you figure out your step-by-step teaching method, pack up your supply kits, and set up a way to take bookings. Once you do that, running your fourth party of the month feels exactly like running your first. You are simply repeating a routine you've already completely mastered. Because of this, owners can comfortably run 4 to 8 events a month, scaling their income without burning out, all alongside a regular day job.
And the third reason? Your calendar can actually fill itself. This business rides on occasions, and occasions literally never stop coming. There's always another birthday, another holiday, a bachelorette weekend, a corporate team-building retreat, or a school fundraiser. When you host a great event, that happy table becomes the best advertising engine you could ever ask for. Guests have such an amazing time that they end up rebooking you to host their own private celebrations down the line. It is a built-in marketing machine driven purely by word of mouth. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it instantly relieves a lot of the anxieties you might be feeling right now. Let's just clear away the myths. You do not need a leased studio, you don't need a huge social media following or formal art training, and you certainly don't need fancy, expensive equipment. This business relies almost entirely on warmth and personality. What you actually need is a simple style you can teach, basic supplies, the ability to communicate steps clearly, and above all, the willingness to make a room full of people feel welcome. If you can host a fun night, you already have exactly what it takes. So we've broken down the logistics, the math, and the mindset. But before you go out and buy a single tube of paint, we need to turn the lens back onto you. You need to find your foundational motivation. Why do you want to do this? Is it the income that excites you? Is it an outlet for your creativity? Or is it simply being around happy, energetic people? Think about where you want to be a year from now. Establishing your why right up front is what will carry you through the jitters of hosting your very first event.
Which leaves us with one final, highly specific question for you to chew on. You have the blueprint. You know the exact math and the step-by-step rhythm to make it happen. The only thing left to do is ask yourself, what would an extra $500 to $1,000 a month actually change for you?